Welcome back. So in this chapter we're going to talk about preparing your presentation. How long should it be? How long should your presentation be? What should you talk about? How much detail should you offer? My personal view is that less is more. There's nothing worse than watching someone present and then starting to think to yourself, this is done, this person needs to stop, or I need to get out of the room. Now, the issue is that perhaps for the first 15, 20 minutes of the presentation it was a good one and you really enjoyed it. But what tends to happen, and I've experienced this many a time watching someone present and doing this, is that when they start to meander and they've gone off topic or they're just up there for ego, that's all you remember. So as you're walking out of the convention centre or the Adelaide Entertainment Centre or the hotel in which the presentation has occurred, all you're thinking about is, that went too long. Oh, I'm so glad that eventually he or she stopped. You don't think about the things that were really important in that presentation. And that is the main goal of someone standing behind a dais talking to a group of people. Your main goal is to get your point across as best and as eloquently and as emotively as you possibly can, and in a credible way and in a professional way. That is your absolute goal. So I've always been of the view that less is more. I think that's really important. And when I'm discussing a presentation with an organiser, they'll say to me, how long do you think this should go? Quite often. And I'll say, well, look, 30 minutes plus 10 minutes of questions, 20 minutes plus 10 minutes of questions. Very rarely is it more than that, because these days it's very difficult to hold someone for that period of time. The other thing that I feel is really important that needs to be mentioned is that a lot of people, when they're speaking for 30, 40 minutes, will talk about 20 different topics. It's too many. It's probably 16 or 17 too many. And for some people it's hard to grasp that thought bubble, because they think to themselves, well, you're up there for 40 minutes or 30 minutes, you're going to be talking about a lot of things, aren't you? Well, yes and no. And what I mean by that is, yes, you are going to be talking about a lot of things, but one of the key, and this is again, it's simply what I do, but I feel it's important to have 2 or 3 topics only as part of your 20 or 30 minute presentation, and then talk about those 3 in detail. I feel as though that's more value for a couple of reasons. For 3 reasons actually. One is, A, people know where you're heading, because at the start you would say, welcome, hello, this is who I am, this is what I'm talking about, topic A, topic B, topic C, and then you would start talking about those topics. So the first point I'd make is that people know where you're heading, and that's really important. The second thing is, you know where you're heading. That's really important as well. Otherwise, again, we can be like the other presenters I've seen who drift off topic, and in the end they don't know where they're going. And so it's important you understand where you're going. And number 3, when someone leaves and you finish your presentation and the evening is over and people are leaving, you want them to leave and go, you know what, that was really good, I learnt this and this. Not I learnt this and this. That's too much. But if they walk out and they say, you know what, I learnt 2 really good things then, or 3 really good things, or 4 really good things, or 1 really good thing, then you've done your job. And you can only do that when you present your topic with 3 or no more than 4 subtopics. Getting back to my original point, if you speak for 40 minutes about heaps of stuff, it's complicated. It's confusing for people. And therefore, I feel as though you should avoid that at all cost. And as I say, if you if you do have 3 or 4 topics, then the audience has a roadmap, you have a roadmap, and everyone knows where you're going, where you're starting and where you're going. One of the most important things about presenting is personalising it and not being a robot. People want to see emotion and they want to hear stories, and I would certainly make the suggestion to you that when you are presenting any topic, personalise part of that presentation. Talk about something that you've experienced, or perhaps talk in the third person and tell a story so that people who are listening will go, yeah, I can really relate to that. I really understand what he's saying there. I've been through that. For example, if you're talking finance and you're talking perhaps the uncertainty of the market, then you can give all the facts and figures you like. That's fine, but that's boring. But if you tell a story like, you know, I was talking to an elderly lady the other day, and she has significant funds in her superannuation, and she's nervous. She's very, very worried. She's worried about her future because of the uncertainty of the market. A story like that will generate emotion from people who are in the audience. They'll go, you know what, I can relate to that. My grandmother's similar to that, or I feel that way. So if you use personal stories within your presentation, then it's going to be so much better. It's going to be so much more professional, and people are going to remember those personal stories. Reading your speech. I want to talk about this, reading your speech. So you've written your speech and you have your speech here in front of you on the dais. If you're not a good reader, please don't do it. Please don't do it, because it will be a disaster. It will be 40 minutes of horror. And what happens is, when you're stumbling and mumbling and fumbling your way through your speech, what that does is that gets everyone on edge, which means they're no longer listening for what you're saying, they're waiting for the next stumble, which means when they walk out that door at the end of your presentation, they're not saying, wow, wasn't that great, I learnt so much, or gee, you know, he sort of fumbled a bit, or she fumbled a bit through that speech, but I learnt this. No, they're going, that was a disaster. I don't even remember what he or she said. You don't want that. If you are a good reader, then that's fine, practice, but if you're a poor reader, then I would suggest something else. I would suggest bullet points. And bullet points give you the opportunity to talk around topics. Now, this is a bit scary for you perhaps, but it means that you will need to ad-lib around those topics. But if you know your topic, and presumably you're standing here because you do know your topic, because you are an expert, then you shouldn't have any problem doing that, but you need to prepare. You need to think carefully about what those bullet points are, and you need to think carefully about what you're going to say around those bullet points. That's really important. You could ad-lib. Now, when I talk about addiction and mental health, I ad-lib because I know the topic completely in detail, unfortunately. But I'm pleased that I can hopefully help others with addiction and mental health issues. But I know that topic intimately. I don't need notes. I know what I'm doing. I'm confident. And I have been doing it for a while. But if you are going to ad-lib, then I would definitely suggest, and again this sounds obvious, but I would suggest that you practice. Because if you are ad-libbing, and I don't want to scare you, but if you start to go off topic or if you forget what's up next, then you have a problem. And I don't want you to have a problem. Okay, I want you to be able to do this as best as you possibly can. I just want to get back to another point I made earlier about the audience and them feeling awkward about you or about what you're doing. just understand that it's important that the audience is relaxed and that they feel comfortable about you. And the reason for that, and this is worth mentioning, is that if they are, then they will listen to you intently. They won't be thinking about other things. They won't be thinking about whether you're going to stumble again, or whether you've wandered off topic, or whether it's too long, or whether you're wearing ridiculous earrings, massive earrings that are really distractive. I mean, obviously, I'm talking a woman here. Well, it is 2020, but so if there are distracting mannerisms, or you are doing something that's distracting, then that is going to distract the audience, which means they won't be listening to you, which I don't want to happen. I want them to listen to you and to feel as though they're part of your presentation and walk away and go, that was really good. That was excellent. I learnt so much about that topic. Wasn't he or she wonderful? Didn't they present well? Weren't they confident? Didn't they tell some great emotive stories? That's what I want from you, and you can do that. You can do that. Mic technique, we touched on this earlier. I'll just give a little bit more detail. If you're speaking at this lectern, for example, and most lecterns have 2 mics, my advice is to, prior to, of course, do a mic check, which we've already mentioned. But I would certainly make sure that you place them a little close together, not out here, obviously, around here. Don't lean in. Just stand comfortably, and if they're nice and close, then they will pick up your voice. Obviously, you need to be forceful with your voice, not shout, but be forceful, not meek and mild. And if you put those mics in that position, you don't need, a lot of people go, hello everyone, welcome along, okay? None of that. It's like this. Good straight back, confident, hands up there, hands down here occasionally, using your hands. We'll talk about that in a minute. So it's pretty straightforward, but a lot of people don't get it. Aha. If, for example, you're doing a presentation and you're using one of these mics, excuse me, this is interesting. Now, to me, using this mic is obvious. I've used a mic like this for 40 years. Hello everyone, welcome along. My name is Mark Aston. I'm here to talk about 6 steps to free media publicity. That's how you do it. Nice and tight, near your mouth. Most people don't do that. What they tend to do is they talk like this, and then after a while, they go like this. And then, of course, they talk over there and they talk to these people, and, of course, they're completely off mic. And then in the end, people are starting to get agitated, which, as I mentioned, is not good. We don't want people going, thinking to themselves, oh, I'm not hearing what he's saying, A, and B, I'm not interested anymore, this is getting boring, because the person is not talking through the microphone. Mic technique is really important. It's really important. And when you're talking like this and you eventually are, for whatever reason, having your mic down here, I can't understand it. I mean, I don't think I've ever done that. But people do it. And so when you're using a mic like this, you need to make sure that it is nice and close to your mouth. Not right up, you don't have to touch it, but right as close up as possible without it touching your lips. And you need to keep it there as you're turning. So as you're turning, I don't want you going like that. Okay, I sounded a bit aggressive there, sorry. Or, like that. I mean, that's weird. I need you to go like that. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for coming along. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate it. You turn that way. It's that. Okay? I hope you understand that. So mic technique is important, and it's all part of the look. It's all part of the confidence that you would exude, I should say, as part of the presentation. I want to finish. On the way in which you start your presentation and the way in which you finish your presentation. And this is really important, really important. A lot of people will come up on stage, I've seen this many a time, and I may have done it in my earlier years. They'll come up on stage and, let's say for example, this is my script. I'll just get Deuce and my cameraman to follow me here. Is that okay, Deuce? Good. So let's say, for example, I've been introduced. Okay? I'm just out of light now. We've got a light up here, so I may not look as, my skin might not look as good. But but we'll get back into the light in a second. So let's say I've been introduced and I've been asked to do my presentation. So I might even get Doosan to follow me down here, actually. This is how you don't walk to the stage, right? This is how you don't walk to the stage. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Mark Aston, okay? So here I go. Follow me here. This is how you don't do it, okay? No, you don't do it that way. Now, when you see someone do it that way, what do you think? Well, I think to myself, this person's nervous. This person is underprepared. This person's not sure what's going on here. What are we going to expect as soon as he or she opens their mouth? Which means, and again I've mentioned this a few times, everyone gets awkward and feels awkward in the room, feels concerned, and as a result of that, they're waiting for you to stumble or make a mistake. So the initial thing that they see concerns them. And you can't allow that to happen. You cannot allow that to happen. So you might be thinking, well, that's okay, but what about if I am nervous? My shoulders are slumped, I'm checking my script, you know, this is the second or third time I've done this. Okay, if that's the case, that's fine. But you need to put on a performance. Now, I'll go back a step. If you've prepared properly, you will still be nervous. I'm nervous doing this, but you can't tell because I'm controlling it. But if you prepare, the nerve level will be less. And so you'll be able to control it more. You need to prepare. You need to make sure you know what you're talking about. You need to have the 3 key points. You need to work out whether you're going to be scripting it or whether you're going to be ad-libbing it or whether you're going to be using bullet points. All of those things. You've done all of that. That's all done. You are now walking to stage. This is how you walk to stage with confidence. Okay? This is how you do it. Whether you're feeling it or not, this is how you do it. Sorry, I shouted then. But I'm very passionate about this. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Mark Aston. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome along to this very important convention. Mark Aston is my name, and I'm here to talk about whatever it might be. Now, can you see the difference? Can you see the difference? I mean, I could go a step further and I could be at a higher level again. I'll show you. Let me show you an even higher level, okay? You won't notice much in the walk, but this is a higher level, right? Watch this. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Mark Aston. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Really appreciate that. Mark Aston is my name, and I'm here to talk about addiction and mental health. Thank you all so very much for coming. It's an act. Now, I'm not saying that that's something that you need to do throughout the whole presentation, but you need to capture the imagination of the people within that room straight away. And by being flat and down, no. You can't afford that, because that will affect you and it will affect people watching. I'm not quite sure where that ambulance is going. Hope it's not coming here. Maybe it's a police car. I hope it's not coming here. The other thing that people do is this. Now tell me how you feel about this. Watch. Hello everyone, welcome along. I'm here to talk about real estate, and I haven't done this very often. I'm not sure. I should be fine, but I've only done this a couple of times, so excuse me. Oh, apologies. Sorry for my heart pumping blood to the rest of my body. You get up there, you're supposed to be motivating people, and you're actually apologising for being there. Don't ever do that. Don't ever do that. That is a no-no. And while we're on no-nos, and I've done this, and got away with it most times, but not always, because I did comedy for Channel 10 for many years. But a lot of people get up and they tell a joke at the start. Now, if it comes off, it's great. But if it doesn't, it ruins the whole night. So my advice would be to play it straight. Play it straight at the start. Think carefully about what you're going to say. Say it with passion. Say it with feeling. Say it with gusto. Say it with belief. Say it with emotion. And get things off on the right foot. Now, to finish, I know this has been a long module, but I think all of these points are really important. And remember, please understand that everything I'm talking about, I am talking about from the heart. I've experienced all of these things. I've done all of these things that I'm talking about, the good, the bad, the ugly. I've been there. I've been a presenter on camera. I've been a corporate host. And again, I don't say this to boast. I just say it because it's true. And I think you need to understand that you are listening to someone with authority. And again, I don't say that because I want to boast. I say it because it's true, because I've been there. But I've been a corporate host and a guest speaker for a long, long time. Am I the best? No. Am I getting better? Yes. I continue to improve. And so all of these techniques are techniques that I use personally. And they may or may not be different to what you're used to. They may or may be different to what you would read in a book. I don't know. I'm not worried about that. I'm just giving you my side of the story. I want to finish on how you finish your presentation. And again, I'll give you a bad example. This is a bad example. Bad example. Right? So, ladies and gentlemen, my message is make sure, let's say we're talking about superannuation. My message is make sure that you speak to someone, an expert in the field of superannuation, and make sure that you talk to them in detail about all of your options. That's so important. You need to make sure that you protect yourself. I mean, when's it finishing? It's just going on and on and on. There needs to be an end point. But a lot of people don't know how to finish a presentation. So they get to their end point, and because they haven't prepared it, they continue on, and they might continue on for 2 or 3 minutes. And then in the end, and this is horrible, they go, so that's all I've got, really. I don't have anything else to say. That's my presentation. That's the conclusion of my... I mean, what's going on with that? I mean, honestly, it needs... And I'm just going to think about this now, just off the top of my head. It needs to be something like this. Let's say it's addiction and mental health. So, ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, if you know anyone who's going through addiction or mental health issues, make sure that you reach out. Thank you very much. That's it. Finished. Finito. People know. Clap, clap, clap. That's it. But at the end of saying thank you very much, I don't then go, so I think I've finished my presentation. You don't do that. You just say thank you very much and then wait for the applause, and then whatever else happens after that. Maybe you get a gift basket, maybe someone comes up and thanks you, I don't know, whatever it might be. You need to prepare the ending of your speech, of your presentation. Please make sure you prepare the start and the finish. Make sure you prepare everything within your presentation. It's really important. And finally, a couple of very quick tips. And one of them you're watching right now, and that is enthusiasm. You need to be enthusiastic. You can't be flat. You need to be ebullient. You need to be out there. It's an act. I know in one breath I'm saying you need to be yourself, but if yourself is meek and mild and flat and you can hardly hear, you have to lift yourself to a certain level so people know what's going on. You have to lift yourself up, you have to talk, you have to be able to say it with passion. You've at least got to add that. Now, I don't have any problem doing this because I'm like this anyway, not to this level, but it's important that you present yourself with emotion and care and love. Using your hands is important. If you're making a point, it's a 5-point plan. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a 5-point plan. It's a 5-point plan. Use your hands. I make this point. Use your hands. Please, ladies and gentlemen, do you understand where I'm heading with this? Use your hands. Use your hands. Use your body. Don't slump. Don't hide behind this. Use this. Use the lectern as part of your tool to further get your point across. That's really important. The other thing that's really important is the pause. Did you get that? Ladies and gentlemen, I make this point. Never ever allow anyone with a mental health issue to live alone, whatever it might be. The pause, it's really important. The way you use your voice is really important. The modulation. And so if you're talking about a topic and you want to change the modulation, you might do it this way. So ladies and gentlemen, when I went to rehab 4 years ago, I was a broken man. It's a true story, actually, unfortunately. And I was in rehab for 2 months. But today, as I stand here now, I am alcohol and drug free, and I am proud of myself. You get the drift? So it's a bit of emotion, and again, that adds to your credibility. See you soon.